Just about there. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to Create Talks, where we talk about creativity that happens with as we partner with God, as we partner with others, and the impact that it has. And I have an amazing guest, Rwomei Chang. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Rwomei is from Huntington Beach, California, where I was living before we moved up here again to Redding. And she was also my third year last year, which means that she's in the Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry program, was doing her third year, 3 years at the School of Ministry. And so I got to hang out with her and got to see all that she carried. And we were just talking about miracles before this that we saw through her taking a risk in painting, which is so phenomenal. And so risk is everything, isn't it, Roma? There's so many things that you learned, and today we're talking about a subject that interests everyone at any stage of your life. It doesn't matter how young, how old you are, but relationships will define your productivity, your peace, your safety, your feeling of being loved more than anything else. That's why our relationship with God is so vital. Can I get an amen out there, right, Rome? How we both
Yes,
love the Lord. And but if our relationships are a little bit off, or we're not secure in who we are with our children, with our spouse, if we're married, with our friends around us, if we're single, we end up not living to the fullest potential because we're always afraid of rejection, or afraid we don't know how to share this and confront or whatever. And so we put on it was amazing, a workshop for people in relationship with both singles and adults, and then an intensive that followed that last January a year ago. And Rome, I want you to share about what really happened to you. What were the things that really changed you in your relationships, and what happened because of the group? So go for it.
yeah. Hello, everyone. Yeah. First, I wanted to say thank you for Teresa. She really changed my life. Well, God changed my life through Teresa, put it that way.
Yes, that's right. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and I got healed a lot. I got wounded when I come to the third year, and yeah, just when I came to BSSM, I also wounded, but God was showing me so many things like I needed to reconnect to myself.
Yes.
And yeah, and the connection code last year, and first we put out is for marriage. And I said, wait a minute, I want to be part of it because I'm single. I'm single now, right?
Come on.
So, so that is just a so powerful book. It's so powerful because it teach you how do you respond? How do you be a listener?
Yes.
How do you create a safety environment for your partner or your children? For me, it's basically with my children. So they can share their emotion to me and I know how to respond. And I found out when you say, uh-huh, mm-hmm, that pass the message to them to hear your tone and they will know you're interested to hear the story or not.
Yes.
Just even those small things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love what you're talking about. So I'm gonna like what Rome is talking about. There's a book, hold up that book. It's called The Connection Code. So we're gonna be going after this in a couple weeks. February the 8th, Saturday, we have an amazing opportunity for everybody to grow in their relationships, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're young, whether you're old, whatever. We need to all grow in relationships. And let me share my screen, Rome, so that they can see it. This is on my website, everybody, so you can get it. But it's just super simple. It's like, it's called a relationship intensive with both Kevin and I, and we've been married 47 years. We've been pastoring, we've helped people in their connections, and we ourselves have grown in our own ability to relate to one another and to our children, our grandchildren. So this is February 8th online from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's only, if you can believe it, Rwomei, $25.
Yeah.
And also get options to be in a small group that follows this time. And we're going to talk about the connection codes. The connection codes book is so vital because it teaches you, like Rome talked about, how to listen and not defend. Come on, that's a big deal. Or to be the teacher, or to be sarcastic, or whatever that first mention is. When a person shares their feelings, you go, ooh, or tell me more. Oh, I missed that. So that allows them to feel heard, which I never learned. I mean, I've been a Christian since I was young. Nobody ever taught this, right, Rome? Nobody
Yes.
ever taught the basics of how we grew up in our attachment style, and how many times when we grew up, we were told, I know I was, you're to be seen and not heard. Don't speak up about this. I never was told when I was young. So when I grew up, that same pattern followed me, even though I was a Christian. So this is designed for us to experience abundance and joy in every relationship. We'll talk about the attachment style, connection codes, the joy switch will give you tons and tons of resources. We just did a married couples retreat, which Randy, who is on right now, he'll give you a testimony. So we had couples dancing. We had couples that were creating for the first time together. We had people that now are doing the connection codes, which is a daily exercise to grow in your feelings for one another and to share your feelings. They're doing that every day, and so we're seeing marked improvement in people's lives. So the practical tools, creative strategies with a small group afterward, and it's for anyone. And so you just go to theresadedmon.com to register. You're going to get practical tools to connect, creative strategies for building and maintaining trust. That's a big one. And insights to enhance relationships in every area of life: marriage, family, friendship, work, community. So register now, guys. If you can't make it on February the 8th, that Saturday, the whole recording will be sent to you. So you're not going to miss out. So get it, and it will be sent to you if you're busy that day. And just 25 bucks for better relationships. I don't know about you, but Rome, that's a great deal. I just think that it will change people's lives. And testimony, like I really wanted you to share on that, like if you were out there and you'd never heard of this, right, Rame, and you're hearing this speak, we're speaking on Create Talks, what would you say to people about why they should join?
I think everybody, I really encourage everyone to join this. It's such as crucial. And because we all carry emotions and we don't realize emotion is a God's gift. Emotion is for us to understand what's happened to our heart. But
Yes.
we always been taught we need to control our emotion. We need to compress our emotion. You better mend your own business, that kind of stuff. So we all kind of wear the mask. Now we don't know how to express ourselves, how to share our feelings to others, and just kind of layer and layer. And then one day you can't stand it, you just depressed and just so your relationship, it doesn't matter it's a marriage or parents with children or your coworkers, it's just
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so true. I couldn't say it better. Like I think what I would say for everybody out there, my relationships before connection codes, before attachment styles, before I had these tools, was I was just slipping by. And I didn't know how many people I was offending, not listening to, and it was really not listening to my heart as well. When I learned this, I'm going, this is simple. It's not rocket science. And so that's why we wanted to make this available at such a low cost for everybody today. And we want you to get what you need.
yeah.
And Romy, share about your culture and your personality in dealing with strong disconnects when it came to intimacy and vulnerability. How were you raised, and how were you even when you were in BSSM? How did that affect you?
Okay, I grew up in Taiwan. I Taiwan is like a community culture. right? But I live in the US now, so the US is individual culture. So I have the experience in both. So, community cultures is like like Chinese and Asians and Jewish or Italians and, old countries, very nosy. Like you want to, if you share something to somebody and in the morning you share it, the afternoon, the whole street knows your story. And it seems like they know more than what's happened to you. And, it's just kind of, really, did I say that? And, I don't even know what I shared with you. So we all put it like a mask and it's like, okay, I need to protect myself. I don't want to share it.
Yes.
So that will create the distance. So
Yes.
don't talk about in intimacy with a relationship, there's such a thing.
Yes.
Some of the parents don't even say love to the children because
Yeah.
they feel it's barren to say love. It's embarrassing to show love. That you should know my love, right? So we just need to learn how to express ourselves in the right way. And the book will talk about you communication with communicate your emotion, but it is not go through your emotion. So how you deliver the words, how you share your emotions, and when not you're responding, it's not a react. You are really have a God's wisdom to knowing how people can accept you. And the listener really needed to learn how to respond, how to not get offended with themselves. Or like Teresa said, now give your direction. You should do this, you should do that, you should feel this way,
Yes.
Yeah, it's so important to learn how to deliver your emotions, your feelings, and how to be a listener.
It really is. It's a game changer. And in cultures, and even I would say the body of Christ at times, sometimes the body of Christ can be the worst offender.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if I say what I'm really going through, then I might be looked down upon in the church. I might be have people gossip about me. So if you've, hey, we're all sharing together. So if you have any comments about how your culture has brought about this distance, please put that in the chat and let us know where you're from and where you're joining. We'd love to give you some shout outs there. But I love this dialogue because our identity is formed when we're young, but our identity is reinforced by the people that we hang out with. And so what you're talking about is if you've never learned to trust the people around you because of fear of attack or being judged or gossiped about, then you end up wearing a mask or distancing yourself and not getting too close, which is not what Jesus ever intended. And so you have, and so in this case, part of the healing happens, which happened in your life, Rome, by being in a safe community like Create Academy, where you could share your emotions and you weren't judged. And that's what we want. That's what we want God to do in your life, in everyone's life. Like, find Create Academy, put in the discount CA50 off for those that don't yet aren't yet a part of that, because that's part of where you'll learn how to connect relationally. So I love that. It's so powerful how just and this is the thing, everybody, and I want you to understand this. When you've been deprived
Mm.
of vulnerability and of your personal space and sharing. And then once you get it, you never want to go back. Isn't that right, Rome?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second. And you also feel more powerful when you go back into those situations with people that are more toxic in their relationship and how they view it, because you're able to know, oh, but that's not where my identity is anymore. It's in Jesus and in the close people that truly know me for who I am. And I think that's super important is relational equity is something that I hold very dear. And I know Rome does too. The
Mm.
friendships that you have, the things that you've learned. And so we protect that because vulnerability and trust is something that most of us have not ever received.
Mm.
And so I want to encourage you, if you have never felt safe in sharing your emotions, or you've been more defensive and afraid of sharing them, or you just get angry when people like they don't like agree with you, there is hope for you. And the hope is right around the corner, February 8th. I love this talk. How Tell us a little bit about how did this mindset that you grew up in, how did it affect your closest relationships?
I think the closest relationship should be myself. I think we need to connect to ourselves. The end of I don't express my feelings to myself
Yes.
because we don't touch in that emotions. So when I was in BSSM, one night I was praying and encounter with God, and Jesus would show up and told me, you need to reconnect to yourself so
Mm,
you'll be whole. When you encounter with me, you're not a hollow, you will be full.
yes.
So I don't know how. I really don't know how because I don't know how to be vulnerable. By the way, you guys should read this book. This is Teresa's book. And this book, yeah, yeah, created to overcome. This book is just showing me how Teresa, the journey, and she was so real. She being vulnerable to showing her weakness. So
Yes.
making me feel like vulnerability is something I need to learn and not feel shame, and also only you be authentic to yourself so you can have a relationship with yourself and then you can have a relationship to others.
I couldn't agree with you more. And one of the things in that book that is so vital for us to understand, created to overcome, we can put that in the chat too. But one of the things that I felt from in reading that is I felt like people needed to know that there's a safe place for them to share about their vulnerable story, about the wounds that they got. And in my poetry, art and poetry book, and my devotional, there's also a space after you read my poem and I show you the artwork for then you to create. And we were talking about this in our leadership track in Create Academy this morning. And so many people were sharing their vulnerable stories, and it brought it so close together.
Mm-hmm.
So, vulnerability is so vital because that's what Jesus did. Jesus said, "Hey, I'm going to be betrayed. Could you, to the three closest of his disciples, could you come and pray with me?" I mean, he was vulnerable about the story behind why he had to die so that we could be set free. I mean, that if that's not vulnerable, I don't know what is. But in that place, we need to enter into our vulnerable places where we've been hurt and let God come in. And so it's a great read, and it's also an activation book. You're gonna love that. So I love that. And guys, I want you to know, like, there's nothing as precious
Mm-hmm.
as another person's life and when they're vulnerable. There's nothing as precious when you share your story, because you're learning that your heart, your journey is worth valuing. And when you do that before God, and when you do that before others in a trusted environment, community, it just makes you feel like I belong. And we all need that. There isn't one person alive who does not need to belong. It's part of who we are as human beings. So we want that for you. Tell me if there's any questions on the chat, if you guys have any questions too. But what did you learn in the last relationship intensive? What was the stages? What were the things that began that journey of being vulnerable? I know Create to Be Free was part of that too, but what was the, and Created to Overcome my book, but tell me the stages that you went through.
Well, it take a practice.
Yes, come on, talk about that.
It take a practice to be vulnerable, and also take a time to. I would just say that you need to have a test the temperature of the water, but not everybody you can just totally open up. Sometimes that person is not ready for open up
Yes.
when you're sharing something and that person cannot take it. And that's what is so great about create an economy, and everybody has this kind of same kind of like a concept. We needed to respect others, we honor others. So we could basically already have set up the safety environment. So you can start sharing a little bit by little bit, then you kind of taste the like I said, taste the temperature, and then to build it up the trust, then another person, because we all have this kind of training, so we learn, oh, we should be a good listener, how to respond. I think that last year is so funny when Teresa and Kevin demonstrate for,
Yeah.
right. I was kind of I was just laughing, and Kevin said, oh, ah. I wasn't crap. I was laughing because that just taking time to really, you don't know how to respond it. It just take a time to say, oh, really, I missed it. Oh, wow, it's hard for you. It's just a, yeah, step by step, small step to start it.
I love what you're saying. It's like building a really important, healthy relational habit takes time.
But
You don't wake up, right, Rome, and go, "Oh, I've read this book. Now I'm good." No,
no,
it takes time because our automatic response is either to defend, to attack, to not listen because we've never been trained in that. So imagine yourself and you're learning how to do something new, whether it's play tennis, if it's a sport, or whether you're learning to publicly speak. There's so many things that you have to understand, and then you see the increase, and then you go, oh, now I have it. So that's what I love about what you're saying, is because all of them were understood, but then you had to practice.
right.
Then you had to put them into the order that needed to happen. And that's what's so fun. And you had, in fact, Mary Case is on. Mary, welcome. And Jacqueline is on too. And it's so great because Mary is part of the group that still meets on Monday, which is so cool. But that's all part of it. Let me see if there's any more questions for you two from our wonderful chat. Okay, this is a question from Heidi. How has this helped you navigate difficult people?
Hmm. I think we really need to practice to respond instead react, because we all carry our emotions.
Yes.
So when we carry emotions, sometimes we don't even know it, unconsciously knowing it. So just like the Bible said, we need to control our tongues. So somebody had the difficulty to be open up, be transparent. We need to give them time. We a listener only is provided your ear, provided your shoulder, provided your tissue box. You just need to be patient and don't push it. If they want to quiet an hour, if you have a time to be there, let them quiet. And at that end up, they will open up little bit by little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. I think like if you have a difficult relationship, sometimes and I love what you shared, Rami, Heidi, sometimes we act like we have an equal relationship. But sometimes with difficult people, they haven't grown because of the things that they didn't learn when they were younger, how to communicate in a healthy way. So you feel like there's always a disconnect going, right? And the only way to like really work with that kind of situation, if you have that, is to build empathy with them and hopefully they'll enter in, but not to expect anything in return. That's just part of the game that I would say, not just a game, but that's part of the process of them becoming more powerful. And so frustration with them will only lead to stronger disconnects. But if you go, ooh, that must be really painful, and then you're able to back off a little bit and not be as close with that difficult person, so that you have space to realize, oh, I'm being triggered by that person because they just never listen, right? Or whatever it is that's happening. God, what's your heart for them? You come back with what
Mm. Yeah.
God's heart is for them. And you give them just some nuggets of joy, peace, righteousness, or whatever is happening, and you'll see a lot of fruit. So don't let the difficult person control the environment. Rather, you come in and you set the stage, and then everybody will feel more comfortable. But that's such a great question. And Heidi has a couple more for you too. Let me just see here.
May
The
I
other,
add a little bit? I think people difficult because they don't know, they didn't connect it themselves. They don't know how to expressing their emotions because we've never been taught we're allowing to express our emotions. They don't know how to start it.
yeah,
So
yeah, you have to realize that these people probably have not had positive modeling.
yes,
It's hard for a person to like, for me personally, to understand what I do in creativity, like prophetic art, whatever, unless they see it demonstrated. It was hard for Rome. We were just talking about that, to see that demonstrated unless she partook of it. So you got to kind of get some skin in the game. And so if you're dealing with a difficult person who doesn't have skin in the game of relationships, you just have to realize that they have a handicap and meet them where they're at. It's so good. Another question. What is still difficult and what is God doing about that in your life right now? Ooh, good question. So, what is still difficult, and what is God doing about that in your life right now?
oh wow,
Oh, ooh,
that
oh,
is so difficult.
oh.
You know, wow. I think Jesus loved me so much. So he put
Mhm.
me on the operation table and it just opened up and pouring things out from me. Very painful. And I remember one point I tell Jesus, give me break. I have a homework to do.
Oh,
But
I love that.
it's just
Yeah.
like an onion. And not, you have the onions, you have to peel up.
Yes.
Layer and layer, and you feel like my onions are so big in our hands.
Where's
Uh,
the end of my onion? Yes, I think that's such a great question. What's difficult and how are you doing it? First of all, the enemy wants to attack identity.
right.
So in my life, in Romei's life, he'll go to the areas that are the most vulnerable because that's just who the enemy is. So the areas where he's wanted to get entry will be, am I enough? That's a question that every human asks. And will you be there for me? Those are two questions that build trust and build vulnerability. And in that, there's times in all of our lives where we've had a hard day, or we've had a difficult person, or we've had a difficult situation that has triggered that feeling of not enough or insecurity because of something that overwhelmed us or whatever. And that thing, we can either take that as a learning curve, like you talked about, and peel off, okay, I guess I'm not done over here. But without the tools, you can't do that. Without the tools, you will revert back to shame. I'm not good enough, which the Bible talks about, which I love. I was sharing this in our Create Academy session this morning. It's in Romans 8 in the Passion Translation, verse 15. And you did not receive the spirit of religious duty, leading you back into fear of not being good enough, right? But you have received the spirit of full acceptance, not a little bit, full acceptance, enfolding you into the family of God. And you will never feel orphaned. For as he rises up within us, our spirits join him in saying the words of tender affection, beloved Father. For the Holy Spirit makes God's fatherhood real to us as he whispers in our innermost being, you are God's beloved child. In this amazing Create Talks, you have to realize, like, every time that there is a difficulty in a relationship or in your own heart, it's because this needs to be planted in your heart more,
Mm.
that you are God's beloved child. And it's not, I would say, it doesn't get planted when everything is rosy. I'm doing great in relationships with my family, whatever. It really gets planted when we feel the weakest. And so know that. So take opportunities to let that word plant go deep inside of you so that you can respond. But this is fun. Are you guys having fun out there? Let us know in the chat what you're enjoying. But share some testimonies about how you've grown from where you were last January to now, and about your small group. Mary, you can chime in there too. But how has that grown? And just share some testimonies about how you've been changed.
I think I've been changed a lot. Um, and I'm more understanding myself.
Come on.
Okay, just know, BSSM and the third year is really game changer. And I also feel like the honoring each other, like Teresa's group always doing that. We honoring each other and empower each other. And that is traumatic for me, is make a difference. Okay. And I learn those be vulnerable, being transparent. I don't feel shame. I can share my own issues and my children's issues. It's just so healthy.
Yes.
I feel really healthy, and healthy people attract to healthy people, and create a healthy relationship. You created a healthy marriage. I
Yes.
think and just the way it is. We need to learn how to communicate, how to relate to each other.
Yeah.
That's what I learned for last year, and now I am even doing podcast for those things, those topic, because I know my people in Chinese is more hold back.
Yes.
They don't want to touch the emotions, and when I tell people emotion is your friend, not that you need to compress or you need to control it, you need to learn your emotion. It's a God's gift. The
Yeah.
people say, "Wow, I never thought about that."
Yeah, isn't it funny how people they go, it's like God made you with emotions. The first thing that happens, even when you see me, is, oh, I feel happy. I feel excited. I'm going to learn something new. You immediately have a reaction of an emotion that you can't control. If you love bacon and you smell it, you're going to immediately remember the times that you've had bacon. If you've had an allergic reaction to it, you're going to have a different feeling, right? And so these are all things. But I love what you said, because in connection codes, a lot of us we share through emotion. That means, like, if I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling overwhelmed, my voice, my language, I would use that emotion to attack or not be helpful in a relationship that I'm in that conversation. So I would share through that emotion of frustration versus saying something like, I'm feeling really frustrated because I had this to do and that to do today, and it's not in my wheelhouse. And the person would go, ooh, there's practicing connection codes. Instead of saying, "Man, I'm just tired. No, I don't want to talk. I feel like I'm just like messed up, just leave me alone." That's talking through the emotion of frustration. So that's what we want to help you with. We want to help you with these things that keep coming up in relationships. We talked about the four horsemen in the couples retreat that we just had, about how when you start to label a person close to you and say, "Oh, here they go again," you immediately criticize, you immediately see the negative, you stonewall them, right? The blank face. You don't you ignore them. All of that are the ways that we try and cope to separate ourselves from feeling like vulnerable. And so the only way to break that is through connection codes. There's no other way to break that, is through empathy and seeing what God loves about that person and practicing that. Hold on one second. I got another one.
Yeah, also I wanted to add this just guys, look at Teresa. When she's exciting, she exciting. Some people say I'm excited to see, but no expression and no body languages, and you just feel like I don't see excitement. So
Totally.
But
Yeah,
Teresa is so real. He was, I'm excited. It's just
yeah.
something we needed to learn. The language is powerful, but also communication is including your body languages, your face expression. It's
One,
so important.
yes, no, I have to say this because Romy, that is such a key. So many people in relationships will say, well, I'm listening, but they're looking at their phone.
Mhm.
Or they're giving you this look like, I don't
Hmm.
really want it. I don't really want to hear what you're saying. So please hurry it up. So there's all this. So body language creates either empathy or I'm with you or I can't be bothered and get on with it kind of style, which I think we've all kind of seen, right? And so in that context, we want to teach you how to be relationally available and intentional in your closest relationships so that you're not saying one thing, but then communicating it in another way, which we all are pretty guilty of at times. And that's why having people that are doing it together, like what you're doing with Mary and with Althea is so vital because then you can call each other on that or say, yeah, I really had a hard time with this thing because of this, and then you can share about it and talk about that. But just in closing, how will this upcoming intensive change people's lives who apply these principles?
Hmm. If you wanted to, um, yeah, like I said, we need to practice on those things. But the key is, do you care the relationship? Do you care with the relationship with your partner or with your children, with your coworkers? So you cares, then you need to pay the effort sometimes. You
Yes,
need to have the step. You need to take a small step, just get into this connection code or learn how to be vulnerable. I think
yes,
it's just a step by step. I really encourage everyone to come to join that. I learned so much and I practice. I'm still practice and just yeah, I know how to listen. It's just very important.
yes,
And
absolutely.
I used to talk to my daughter and she would say, Mom, I gotta go in like 2 minutes, hung up. So now we can talk like 4 hours
Woo!
because I learned how to be a good listener and I know how to respond and I
Yeah.
know how to just cut my tongue is not going to spit the words and she cannot hear it.
Absolutely. I think that it's really helped my relationship with my daughter as well. And there's a marked difference. And there's more, I would say there's more freer conversation, more freer time in sharing heart to heart, feelings, etc. It has improved drastically. And so make sure that you come. It's on teresadedmon.com. We'll put that in the chat for you. If you want to get involved in this Create Academy community too, what Rome has experienced, please check it out. You would go to teresadedmon.com, look up Create Academy, all that you get, all my courses, our weekly times together when I'm with you. Look at all that you'll receive because that is what all of these students that are with me are finding out, that relationships and learning to be vulnerable and learning to be honest with our heart is the way that we love God and the way that we love others. So check it out. Rome, I'm so glad you joined me today. And you're just such a joy. And if other people you know need this, share this post so that they can get encouraged too. Find out 4 or 5 people that you go, they're not doing well in relationships. Share this so that they can get the help they need. So everybody continue to create, continue to find your heart's desire in what he has for you. Let your identity be known. See you soon. Bye.